3, 2, 1. Welcome to the Fishin' Radio Show, the leader in sport fishing talk radio. Powered by Reliable Chevrolet in Springfield, Missouri, and presented by Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's. Creating a best of the best shopping experience for all outdoor enthusiasts by bringing together the best in fishing, hunting, and boating all in one location. And it's brought to you by Freedom Bank of Southern Missouri, the bank that is dedicated to fishermen and outdoor enthusiasts. Freedom Bank's guest of the week, we got a good one today with the guy that was just singing that intro song right there, Mr. Casey Ashley. Major League Fishing Pro is going to be our guest today, and I will let all our listeners and all our followers know that next week we will have Edwin Evers as our guest. So we got two good ones backed up here back to back. And Freedom Bank has 7 branches in southwest Missouri, including Willard, Cassville, Shell Knob, Golden, Seligman, and now they are in Monette and Aurora. Freedom Bank is a full-service bank with deposit and lending services. Freedom Bank has the knowledge and the tools to make your banking easier. Freedom Bank specializes in agriculture, and they are huge supporters of outdoorsmen everywhere. Join Freedom Bank today, where you're treated as part of the Freedom Bank family. Your community, your future, your bank. Freedom Bank of Southern Missouri, member FDIC, equal housing lender. And Mercury Go Boldly trivia question, sponsored by the Mercury V8 4-stroke outboard, and now they are stronger, they are faster, they are bolder, and do more of what you love on the water with Mercury. And this portion of the show is presented by Extreme Outdoors, located in Branson, West Missouri. And also, we want to welcome 5 Fish Lures, the jig that you want tied on to the fishing.
Well, it's a good looking jig. I've had the opportunity to fish it a couple times, but not real heavily yet, but I'm going to as the weather warms.
Brian Snowden, Pete Winters, Bobby Albert, those 3 guys put their heads together, and they've got a great product there. Again, it's 5 Fish Lures. And we welcome them to the show. And
that's a Bassmaster Classic qualifier, a professional guide, and a regional tournament expert, I think.
Yeah, Bobby Albert can hold his own against any of them, no doubt. And if you're looking to go on a guided trip on Table Rock Lake, get a hold of Pete Winters. He'll take care of you. Today's Mercury Go Boldly question, which letter of the alphabet do most of the 2020 Major League Fishing Pros' last names begin with? Which letter represents most of the MLF Pros' last name?
A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, and Z.
Wow. Now say it backwards.
No. We'll leave that to Maggie.
Yeah. Sunline answers. Is it A, L, is it B, M, or is it C, C? Give us a call at 417-868-6100. That's 417-868-6100. And Sunline, fish the best, the only fishing line you need, fluorocarbon braid or monofilament. And check them out, www.sunlineamerica.com. You won't find a better product than Sunline to put on those reels. Regional tournament action, electrified by Battery Outfitters. Find the battery you are looking for at your neighborhood battery store. Battery Outfitters. Battery Outfitters are your battery experts, carrying a variety of automotive, commercial, cell phone, laptop, motorcycle, boat batteries, and more. And Springfield, Missouri, location is at 5245 South Campbell Avenue for all your battery needs, including coming in March. As long as they don't get held up, coming in March, they will have lithium batteries available for your boat. So if you're looking to get a set of lithium batteries to put in your boat, get out there and talk to them at Battery Outfitters and let them know you're interested, and they'll get you set up when those things come in. Regional tournament action is brought to you by McAllister Marine in Highlandville, Missouri, and Marine Repair Center in Springfield, Missouri, your one-stop shop for garment electronics, Bass Boat Technology Graphs, and those guys also do great installs. Just a few more days and the Ozark Mountain Team Trail is going to kick off their 2021 season, 100% payback. And it is just a few more days. I'm sitting here looking at the calendar, and it's now getting close to January. It's about halfway over.
That's right.
And we kick things off the first part of March. So, wow. We're trying to get entry forms put together, sewing up loose ends with sponsors, and we'll have those entry forms out here hopefully in the next couple of weeks, if not sooner. And guys can get those sent in. We are taking deposits for the 2021 season if you want to get those mailed in. And we're kicking off March the 6th on Bull Shoals Lake. And you can get the complete schedule at ozarkmountainteamtrail.com or go to Facebook and look up Ozark Mountain Team Trail. And let's see here, Garmin LiveScope was credited for the win by Florida's Eric. You got me on this one.
Well, let me see. Spell it for me.
Spell it for you?
Yeah.
Panzironi. Panzironi.
That's it.
Got it.
You're doing good. You
Nailed
passed
it.
your spelling test.
I passed my spelling test today. Eric Panzironi captured the Phoenix Boats Fishing League event on the Harris Chain in Florida with 24 pounds and 12 ounces using a black Zoom trick worm.
Said every one of them he saw directly below the boat, dropped the bait to him, and the fish bit. 24 pounds, wasn't it?
24-12,
Yeah.
almost 25 pounds.
And those tournaments start a little earlier down in the south over there, a little bit in Florida. They're going to be coming this way. That's those. A lot of the guys around here fish that BFL, the old BFL.
Yep. So Garmin LiveScope was credited again for that win, and let's go out here and see if we can get an answer for our trivia question. And Board Man, who'd you say we have on there for caller number one? All right, Greg, where are you calling from, buddy? Marshville. Greg, thanks for listening to the show, man. Do you have an answer for that question, or do you need me to read it again? You're going to say L. Well, Greg, let me tell you, if you guessed, you need to go buy a lottery ticket because you got it right, buddy.
Yeah, buy one tonight because it's worth $700 million.
$700 million, yeah. Get down to the store and buy yourself a lottery ticket, buddy. Hey, Greg, thanks for calling, man. You won yourself a tackle pack sponsored by Extreme Outdoors, located in Branson, West Missouri, and 5 fish lures, the jig you want tied on. So congratulations. You bet, man. Stay on the line. We need to get some information from you, and we will be right back after these messages. Hang on. Do what?
Hayden machine, fishing machine.
Fishing radio show news of the week.
It's the Hayden machinery.
Oh, instead of presented by.
Yeah.
So just put an actually, yeah, okay.
What you got?
That's what he said. You're gonna have to say that again. I can't hear you, man. That commercial's too loud. Yeah. What's up? Yeah, I can hear you now. What'd you say a while ago? we shouldn't have any callers. The only time we have callers is during our trivia question, and usually what I'll do is when I get to that point, I'll just say, do what I did. I'll just say, hey, board man, who do we have? And then you can just tell me. Because basically, when you told me who it was at first, I had to go through all the other stuff, and I'd already forgotten who you said. So, yeah, but no, you're good, man. Yeah. But other than that, we won't have. We shouldn't have any other guests, and I'll have to bring you a phone number here in a minute to call our guests later. All right, see ya. 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to the Fishin' Radio Show, driven by Reliable Chevrolet. Head out to Reliable and tell them you heard about their great deals on the Fishin' Radio Show. And Hayden Machinery, Fishin' Radio Show News of the Week. Hayden Machinery is #1 in customer service, your best resource for new and used construction, rental equipment, and top-notch parts department. Let the guys and the gals at Hayden Machinery supply you with the equipment for your next job. And Fishin' Radio Show was notified recently that Texas 10-year FLW Pro Mark Pack passed away back on January the 9th after a long battle with COVID-19. Pack was the founder of Lake Fork Tackle and Impact Lures, and he was a 2-time winner on the FLW Tour. And man, I hated to hear that. He battled COVID for a while. He actually got better. We thought he was going to come out of it, and then he took a turn for the worst and just didn't make it. But,
he designed some good lures. When we were going back and forth to Lake Fork a time or two, had the opportunity to purchase some of those lures.
Yeah, it is just a sad day. We hated to lose Mark, but he'll live on in our memories forever. The Ugly Stick Santa Claus Bass Tournament.
You fished that, didn't you?
No.
Oh, you didn't go down and fish that. Okay.
Did not. But it raised more than $15,000 in toys for tots. There was 298 anglers dressed in Santa Claus costumes that fished this annual event in Columbus, South Carolina. And yes, there was 298 guys dressed up as Santa Claus.
That was part of it.
Yeah.
You had to dress as Santa Claus.
Yeah. And the tournament busted the record for toys for tots and filled 2 boats completely full of toys. So that was awesome.
Yeah.
MLF Pro Ish Monroe is adamant about slow rolling a big spinnerbait during the coldest time of the year. And we all know bass like the blades, but he is stubborn about the catch ratio on huge spinnerbaits.
You're seeing a lot of stuff on the internet now about the different types of baits that guys are using, and I think the spinnerbait, with this introduction of the chatterbait and all that kind of stuff, is kind of being forgotten. And I think Ish is ready to stand up and say, "Hey, this bait still works."
Yeah, I mean, you talk to Jason Christie, I mean, and everybody sees Jason Christie throw away a chatterbait a lot now too, but they still have that old Colorado spinnerbait, and you'll see that come into play on some of these early spring tournaments especially where you have stained water. You're going to see those guys break out those Colorado blade spinnerbaits and go to work with them, and you're not going to catch a lot of fish on them. That is true. You're not going to get a lot of bites, but the guys that throw them have confidence in them, and they have confidence to get 5 or 6 bites, and they know those bites they're going to get are going to be good ones. So that's why they throw it. And it goes back to the, Jason Christie's coming from Major League Fishing, where you catch all you can catch, as quick as you can catch, and now he's back Bassmaster.
It was like being back home.
Yeah, and he's going to be fishing for 5 bites again, and you're going to see a guy like Jason Christie throw the baits that he's going to get the 5 biggest bites on he can get. So Jason Christie is focusing on one particular body of water for the oncoming elites. He has never finished better than 69th on the Sabine River. So he's going to spend a little extra time studying his maps and his previous approaches to the body of water. He has finished in the money 75% of the time in all pro ventures, leading him to over $1 million in tournament winnings. And I'm going to reach out to Jason. We got shop. And this portion of the Fishing Radio Show is brought to you by Chomper Soft Plastics, John's Hot Props, and Championship Marine Fiberglass Boat Repair. And Garmin, fishing in the big leagues, make Garmin your next choice when it comes to electronics and trolling motors. And Major League Fishing news, the Tackle Warehouse Pro Circuit will showcase 165 of the top professionals in fishing as it kicks off its second year under MLF ownership. And the Toyota Series anglers can start registering for their chance to fish close to home for incredible payouts, the lowest entry fees of any national tournament trail. Pay attention to the new wild card divisions, as 12 pros and 12 co-anglers will qualify to fish the Toyota Series Championship, and the Plains division will tackle Lake of the Ozarks and Grand Lake to finish on Lake Dardanelle. Man,
3 good lakes
if
for
you're
those Plains Division anglers.
Yeah, if you're a Ozarks angler, if you're a guy that lives here in the Ozarks and you like to fish and you're fishing that division, man, Lake of
Colored
the
water on
Ozarks,
every one of those.
Grand Lake, and Dardanelle. I'm not sure what the dates are on those lakes exactly, but there's 3 good ones right there for you guys. The Major League Fishing Lucas Oil Challenge Cup elimination rounds into the weekend with Takahiro taking round 1 and Octafo capturing round 2, and these rounds are followed by sudden death rounds where 6 anglers from each round will go head to head, and Missouri pro Mike McClellan advanced to sudden death in round 1, as did none other than KBD.
He was the silent killer out there, and it looks like he may be ready to go this
He
year.
may be ready to go. Kind of been sleeping a little. If you're wanting to get a berth in the 2020 Academy Sports and Outdoors Bassmaster Classic, you can qualify through the TNT Fireworks BASS Nation tournaments. And the first event for the Central Region is on Kansas Fisheries, Lake Milford in Junction City, Kansas.
And have we heard lots about Lake Milford?
Whew. Better hope the wind's not blowing. It can be,
I went through Junction City, Kansas here just a few days ago.
yeah, you did.
Saw the turnoff to Lake Milford and I shivered.
I didn't talk bad about you last week when
Oh.
I told everybody you were going to Colorado. I didn't say anything bad about you at all.
I'll bet.
The 51st Bassmaster Classic presented by Hook, originally scheduled for March 2021 on Lake Ray Roberts, has been moved to June the 11th through the 13th, 2021 due to the public health emergency and associated limits on large gatherings. The Classic and the Outdoors Expo will still be at in Fort Worth, Texas.
Yeah, and they're moving this thing, but talk about confusing. You know, these guys are getting all psyched up to go fish a Classic, and it's moved from March and then it's moved to June.
And I'll tell you what it's going to do. It's going to have a chance to have some monster bags of fish weighed in, and here's why I'm going to say that. It's on Ray Roberts. There's big fish there. They're Florida strain.
Mm-hmm. Post-spawn.
You don't have to worry about it being a cold front coming in so much and killing it like it might in March. These fish are going to be offshore. They're going to be stacked up into groups. And man,
Plastic worms.
well, you're going to see big crankbaits, and you're going to see a lot of big crankbaits. You're going to see a lot of plastic worms, jigs, deep structure fishing, and these guys that are good at doing that, you're going to see some big weights in this Bassmaster Classic, no doubt. I'm excited. Excited about that one. But all right, we're going to take another break, and we'll be right back after these short casts.
Isn't that the second time they moved it from February?
I don't know.
See, it was going to be in Tulsa.
How busy I've been. I didn't even know.
See, it was
I didn't even know they moved it.
It was going to be in Tulsa in February.
Yeah.
And they were going to fish Grand.
Yeah.
And then they canceled the outdoor expo, and they were still going to have it on Grand. And then they moved it to March to Texas, Fort Worth.
Yeah.
And now they moved it to June. So the water should be really warm by that time down there, but we'll see.
Say that again. Okay, I'm gonna bring you that phone number.
Can they hear us?
Yeah.
Huh?
Do what?
Can they hear us on the,
I don't know.
you're getting,
I said let us know when the guest gets on there. They can hear us on there now, yeah.
you needed me to run that number up there too.
Is this our second or third break?
Third.
So we're done, right?
No. Second.
Well, we got one more break.
Yeah. This is our second one.
Yeah,
I hollered at you, but you were already gone.
this is the long one.
Yeah. Did Jerry come down with his son?
I don't know. I never did ask. I'm assuming he did.
I imagine he did. He's telling us about when he's ready to go.
Three, two, one. Hey, welcome back to the Fishing Radio Show. It's time now for the high school and college fishing news. Am I on the right page?
You bet. You're there.
I'm there. And we're kind of revamping
All kinds
things.
of tests
Yeah,
today,
we're
wasn't it?
passing them all. We're revamping things a little bit for the 2021 year. We're cutting new commercials today and trying to get everything lined out, so bear with us. And We're still in our makeshift room here at the radio station. For those of you tuning in to Facebook Live, if you have a Facebook account, you can go to Fishin' Radio Show and actually watch us and listen to us live there. And we hopefully will be in our new studio here before too much longer. But the Fishin' Radio Show encourages our listeners to get involved with the college fishing in your area or in our area here by supporting their fundraisers. If you're active on Facebook, you can follow the Drury fishing team at Drury University or the Southwest Missouri State fishing team there. And Drury is coached by Rick Emmett, and they are 9th place in the college standings. And also, many of the high schools need boat captains and to operate these boats for these high school and junior high teams. And so if you want to get involved doing that, get a hold of JP Sell, and he can lead you in the right direction there. And college fishing news. I need to jump back over here to my Facebook page because, there it is. Drury Fishing. They actually had a little bit of fun over the winter break here, and Cole Breeden from Drury University won the ACA Holiday Break online fishing tournament. And you follow the link to view the overall top 10 standings. So if you go to Facebook, go to Drury Bass Fishing, that's their home page, and you can read all about it there. Congratulations to Cole Breeden, you winning that collegiate online tournament there. That's a great job, man. And you know, Cole was he snuck off and went down to a lake in Texas that we talked a little bit about today, called Lake Fork. He caught some dandies down there. So I'm not sure exactly how that all works, but they had these guys could go to different lakes.
This
and
is all virtual?
Yeah, and they had to record the weights of the fish they caught and things like that. So that's how Drury got the online win there.
So when I get too old to get in the boat, I'm going to be able to pull a tournament up online and go fish a lake without ever getting wet.
You may get to. They do it with, it's kind of like the kayak fishing is. You got to go get wet. You have to go catch fish.
Oh, okay.
Cole Breeden actually went to.
Oh, he actually went. I thought you said it was all virtual.
Well, I didn't mean virtual like that. I mean like there's no weigh-ins.
Oh,
virtual.
Gotcha.
I'm not sure exactly how they weigh their fish and all that. I'm sure there's stipulations or how they do it.
Like the kayak guys, maybe.
Kind of, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm not sure how they exactly determine the winner, but if you go to Drury's Facebook page, you can read all about it, and got some pictures here of some of the toads that Cole Breeden caught on Lake Fork, and once he got them dialed in, he smashed on them.
Make me want to go back down there again.
Smashed on them pretty good. I think he broke his personal best a few times, and it looked like he had a whale of a time down there, so congratulations. And let's move on here to the Fishin' Radio Show. Is presented by Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's, your trusted source for quality fishing, hunting, boating, and outdoor sporting goods, inspiring people to enjoy and protect the great outdoors. Fishin' Radio Show broadcast is driven by Reliable Chevrolet. See Tyler Nations and for your next tow vehicle, and tell them you heard about it on the Fishin' Radio Show. The Hook Fishing Report, gear up and save. Shop Hook Performance Fishing Gear. Hook has free shipping on all orders over $100. Go to www.hookgear.com, and it's presented by Ranger Boats in Flippin, Arkansas. Bass, various baits are being used right now to catch bass. If you're going to fish a tournament and they allow Alabama rigs, you better have one tied on, because that's the go-to bait in the wintertime. You have to spend time searching these schools of fish until you find a school of fish that's willing to eat that bait, and when you do, you're going to get rich in a hurry. Otherwise, jerk baits coming into play, the jigs coming into play, and the old wiggle wort's still catching a few fish here and there on some windy days.
And don't forget about a shaky head right now.
Yes, don't forget that shaky
Fishing
head.
slow, and sometimes that's what it takes.
Crappie fishing. Crappie fishing's pretty good on Palm de Terre right now. It's actually really good on Palm de Terre, and it's actually pretty good on Stockton too. The problem with Stockton is you gotta weed. It's the same thing. You gotta weed through a lot of fish that are going to be keepers definitely by this fall. There's a lot of 9.5, 9 3/4, just under 10-inch fish there. And as long as you weed through those, you'll catch some good keepers. But you got to weed through the little ones. And the walleye, they're starting to catch a few. They're going to be catching them on jerkbaits here before too much longer on Stockton, and catching a few on Palm de Terre maybe. But they're catching them when they're fishing for these crappie around these shad really deep. So you want to go fishing? Get out to Stockton or Palm de Terre, put a crappie nibble on, use your Garmin electronics, and load the boat with some crappie. And we're going to take another break. Don't go away. We'll be right back with Freedom Bank Guest of the Week, Casey Ashley, on the Fishin' Radio Show.
Remember what the name of that?
I don't hear any commercials playing.
I think he heard you.
Knock, knock. Can you hear me?
Hello?
Not able to hear any music or commercials.
Maybe
Can
talk to
hear
Casey
every
on
word
the
that
phone.
you, so they can hear us. I'm just gonna turn all these on.
Yeah. Okay, we're not hearing any commercials. No, we are.
Oh, okay. No, you're good. I just had somebody just messaged me and said that they can hear me and Dad talking on Facebook, but they couldn't hear any commercials. And I turned a couple more of these buttons on just to see. I just sent her a text to see if she just texted me and said she said she couldn't hear any music or commercials that were playing. So I went ahead and turned those two on just to see.
Yeah.
Because I think everything's on now. Besides, what's that one? Oh,
Yeah, that's just
it's
a mic.
microphone. She said the same.
So she can't hear it right now?
Yeah, she just said it was the same. She said no. It's like it went from working and then it doesn't work. I don't know what else to do.
We might have something plugged into that telephone there, do we?
No.
See this? Well, we don't need that. This.
3, 2, 1. Welcome back to the Fishing Radio Show, brought to you by Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's, your one-stop shopping for fishing and hunting. How's that career going for you?
Well, it's kind of on hold. It's usually pretty busy these days.
Wow. You know, there's a lot of things. What's the temperature like where you're at right now?
Man, today has been one nasty day. It was foggy until like 1 o'clock, and it was a high of like 46. No rain, just a dreary, foggy, nasty, cold day.
Yeah, we're fortunate here in Springfield, Missouri today, Casey. We've got it's in the probably low 50s today. We've got sunshine, and it's actually a pretty nice day.
Not much wind today at all.
Not much wind, but it's been extremely cold the last 2 or 3 days. Got down into the low 20s at night. So it's been
Sounds like jerkbait weather.
yeah. We're going to talk a little bit about some jerkbait fishing and some jig fishing here on these Ozark lakes a little bit later here in the show. Man, how excited are you to get things kicked off this year?
Man, I'm ready to go. Last year was kind of a bust with the whole COVID deal. Not even only in the fishing world, just throughout the nation. Man, everybody's excited, chomping at the bit, ready to go fishing. It can't come soon enough.
Now, you've had a little bit of an off season here. What have you done differently to get ready for this season than you did last year?
I wouldn't say I've done much differently. We just actually had enough time to spend a little time and fish at home, man. We never get to do that. We're always on the road fishing various waters across the country, and we do go to some good lakes, but there's no place like home.
That's awesome. So, Casey, let's dig into this wintertime fishing, and you can relate a little bit of that to where you're from. Up there, you've kind of got some clear, deep water up there, like we do here on Table Rock and Bull Shoals, and then we also have Lake of the Ozarks, which I know you're very familiar with, where you got a little bit of stain water. And how are you going to attack those three?
And every time you found the bait, the fish were with them. And I had probably 20 places like that marked. And I've been able to do that. I've done some on beaver, done it some on Table Rock. But that bite is super hard to find, because if it gets a couple of warm days, those fish will move and they start going to the rock. But yeah, if you can ever find that suspended bite, that's a really cool deal on those Clearwater lakes.
Now, Casey, when you go to those Clearwater lakes to find that suspended bite, once you find the shad and find the fish around the shad, what baits are you gonna use to attack those fish with, and how much do your electronics come into play?
Your electronics come into play big time. I use my Lowrance. It'll basically tell you where your bait needs to be, because when those fish are suspended, they're easy to see. And you can watch them on your electronics, how high they actually come up or where they're sitting. And one thing you always want to remember when fishing suspended fish, it's no different than fish on the bottom. You never want to go below them. They always like to feed up. So you want your bait to stay just above them, a couple of feet. And, baits I use is my signature, the one I won the Classic on, is the Understand with a Zoom white Super Fluke Junior on it. It's not that hard. Don't let the clear water deter you. They're feeding on shad, so white is always my go-to. That bite is always better early in the morning in a low light situation. But man, you can even catch those fish vertical jigging. You can drop a shaky head with a finesse worm tool if you're actually marking them feeding under your boat. But still, that Understand is my go-to because you can make long casts. If you're marking them on your graph, just think of how many more is out in front of you. And you can cover water that way and stay off the fish. I found in clear water, if you get on top of them a lot, you can catch 2 or 3 good ones. But after that, the fish follow up, they see the boat, and they disperse. So you wind up hurting yourself more than helping. But you always got to have it laying there for that one opportunity.
Hey, Casey, I'm going to just ask a question off the cuff here. You just mentioned something about 1 or 2 fish biting, and then they kind of disperse. I fished with guys that don't have any concern for making noise in their boat from above the water, and I fished with guys that say, shh, don't even talk. What's your feelings on that?
Well, I'm kind of the same way. I've been with guys vertical jigging before where they'll actually have an old pool cue or a broomstick, and they are definitely beating on the bottom of the boat. That works well for, stripers, perch, that type of stuff, because they're curious. It actually makes them come to you. But when you're bass fishing, man, you've seen it time and time again. If you're fishing vertically and you mark a school of fish, it's a little easier to keep them going if you have a partner. But if you're by yourself, if you catch a couple of those fish and, release 1 or 2 of them, those fish are gone. And what they're doing is it's no different than on a cranking hole in the summertime when you catch one and there's 4 or 5 comes back with it. You just educated that fish. They know you're not real. They've seen the boat. And you have to leave and come back an hour later. But, when those suspended fish, that first hour is so critical, you don't want to make that mistake. So staying off of them is best.
Casey, is that something that has happened because of the extreme fishing pressure that these fish have gotten used to that?
You can blame it on that. But, man, I've been to lakes across the country to where it doesn't get very much fishing pressure. And in the wintertime, most people are deer hunting, they're watching football. The pressure is not as, you don't have as much pressure as, say, in the spring or in the summertime. You could go out there and not see but 4 or 5 boats all day long in the winter. It's just, fish are not stupid. You have those days where you go out there and you feel like you can catch them on anything, but I'm telling you, if you get over the top of them 9 times out of 10 and catch a few, you have to educate them. And you have to leave them alone and kind of let them regroup. That's just their deal.
Now, you find these schools of fish, and I'm going to ask you this question about a bait, and we're going to talk about the umbrella rig a little bit. And obviously, when the umbrella rig first came out, it was called the dummy lure because basically anybody could go throw it and catch fish on it. And now the fish have gotten tuned into it a little bit more, and I believe it's harder to catch fish on it, and you have to use your brain a little bit now. But have you seen a big change by throwing your underspin compared to an Alabama rig when it comes to catching those deep fish?
Yeah, I have. More and more people have thrown it. And it's just like anything else, man. Just take the Whopper Plopper, for instance. That was a big craze when it first came out. And then everybody in the country bought one and caught them on it. They get in tune to it. And now if you watch a Major League Fishing show, you see everybody throwing buzz baits again. They just get in tune to different baits. Not saying that the baits are never going to work again. Just when people stop throwing them, start catching them on something else, they'll get in tune to that. You can go back to the old school stuff and catch them on that again. It's a cycle, continuous cycle. And any time that manufacturers come out and make new baits, it'll be a craze for 10 years, and the fish get used to it. Everybody forgets about it. 15 years later, it's back again.
Is a crankbait in your arsenal for wintertime fishing?
Absolutely. absolutely. I love coming to the Ozark part of the country to throw a crankbait, because around here, man, we get such a small window to throw it. There's some guys that live and die by it, but it's just not the deal where I live. So coming up there, that's something special that I don't get to do. And those fish, you know, when I was talking about, you know, finding them in those ditches or in those pockets and coves suspended, we had a few warm days, and all that did was take those same fish and just slide them up to the bank, and you could catch them cranking.
Now, do you prefer?
Places in the country.
Yeah. Do you prefer a fat body or a thin crankbait when you're fishing in the wintertime?
In the wintertime, I like y'all's area has a knack. You know, it has one bait that works very good, and everybody knows it is a wiggle but still, that's for me. That's when the fish are still in that 8 to 10 foot range when they get on the bank. If they get in the shower, there's nothing that can beat a flat side. I love to throw a flat-sided bait, whether it be balsa or whether it be plastic. There's so many good ones out there these days. But, man, if they cheat on shad or crawfish, you know, anything red or anything white, then they will eat it alive.
You know, it's interesting that you said that fish get accustomed to baits. Now, you know, I'm old enough that a balsa B, when they came out, I mean, I've got tackle boxes full of them. And you know, I hadn't caught them in a few years on those balsa, and now balsa seems to be coming back. Is that one of those standard things, or is it because the bait is so buoyant?
You know, it's just one of those things that, you know, when something first comes out, it's a little different. You know, it works, and then everybody buys it, everybody talks about it, and everybody throws one. Just take a spinnerbait, for instance, man. You can go ride on the lake in the spring. They can be a pontoon with 15 kids and, you know, riding around with their grandpa not caring, but if they got riding reels hanging out, you're going to see a spinnerbait dangling off the end of one of those rods. And that's just because it's one of the best ways to catch fish, but that reason is why it's gotten harder and harder and harder to find a great spinnerbait bite unless the conditions are just super right. Wind, dirty water. But, yeah, any of those baits, take that for instance. The one thing I've never been able to figure out is why a jig has never lost its newness. And up in your area, all the Ozark lakes, that wigglewort, man, is deadly, even to this day. And I know there's times where you can throw it and they won't bite it, and it's starting to hit the line up, but, dude, they still eat that thing.
And you kind of took the words out of my mouth. You're a little fond of a jig, and you know that was going to be just a little. That was going to be my next question. Is you know, when is it time during the winter, you know, on these Ozark lakes to throw a jig, and how are you going to fish that jig this time of the year?
I've never seen a time it wasn't a good time to throw a jig. But I don't go into very many tournaments where I don't have at least 3 tied on, and I think that's why the jig never loses that newness. I mean, they always bite it, and it's just because it's such a versatile bait. There's so many different colors. It can fish in super clear water. You can fish it in super dirty water, deep water, shallow water. Swim it. It doesn't matter. You can do whatever you want to with it, and I think that's just what keeps it. But for me, in the wintertime, I like to keep natural colors, you know, especially in clear water. Green pumpkin or some type of brown with a little orange in it. And, you know, green pumpkin trailers. My favorite one is a green pumpkin jig with a green pumpkin zoom super chunk junior and a half ounce. And I always throw that on. If I'm fishing it super deep, I'll throw it on 15, but 9 times out of 10, I throw it on 20. You know, a lot of guys get spooked by that clear water, but when you're jig fishing, it's kind of like, I don't know. They just, when they see that jig, that line is blocked out of their mind. They don't care. They just got to have it.
Yeah, that's interesting because Brent Chapman told us the same thing a few weeks ago on our show here. And Brent grew up in our area, fishing tournaments in our area where, you know, 10-pound test in this clear water was stretching it.
Yeah, Jim and Tori Akins, you know, they came out with a little Akins jig, and Jim would just straight up club you in the head if you told him you were fishing anything heavier than 10-pound fluorocarbon on that little 5/16 ounce jig.
No kidding.
And, you know,
I won my first event on an Akins jig. First event ever. Smith Lake in Smith Mountain Lake in Virginia. peanut butter and jelly. It was a summertime tournament, but sure did. I was fishing it on 17.
Okay, when the water gets,
I don't know what it is about a jig. I mean, to me, there's so much structure you're fishing it around, and it's a bait that you really want to always keep bottom contact with, especially there and all that rock, man. It would be hard for me to throw anything less than 15, and 15 to me is like finesse fishing.
now, when you come to the winter time and you're fishing a jig, do you want to, and you mentioned you want to keep it in contact, but do you hop that jig in the winter time, or are you dragging it across the bottom?
I always like to hop my jig. It doesn't matter in the summer or the winter. To me, and that's another reason why the jig never loses its newness. You know, because people fish it so many different ways, and you know, I can go behind somebody with my hopping technique to someone that's dragging it in front of me and catch twice the fish they caught, or vice versa. Somebody can come behind me with their dragging technique behind me hopping, and they'll catch twice the fish I catch. Doesn't mean I'm not going to catch some. They just, some days they like one better than the other, and it's just something you have to play with.
Now,
But 9 times out of 10, I am going to hop it. I just think it just looks more lifestyle.
does that hook that's put into a jig, does that make a difference in your catch ratio? Do you want a round bend, or is there a different type hook that you're using?
I really like a round bend hook. You know, there's so many jigs out there these days. I throw a greenfish. I mean, really a 4-aught mustad, regular old school mustad hook to me would do the job when nothing else will. Because what happens is all these companies make these big giant hooks and these jigs. The jig's no different. They're not making their skirts any longer or anything like that. They just put these big giant hooks. And to me, that changes the whole body style of that jig, the whole look of that jig, just because your trailer or whatever you put on it is sitting so much further back now. So it just doesn't work the same. And that 4-aught, I'm telling you, I've caught big fish all over the country on my little greenfish jig that's, you know, just like one you would buy in the store. And I've never had one straighten out with me on a big fish or whatever. But it's just something about being that compact look. And you can make it beefier if you want to with a bigger trailer or whatever you want. But it's just that 4-aught hook to me is the best.
Wow. Hey. Now, Casey, we were talking about the jig, and I think everybody around here knows. Now, I've got a guy that's a friend of mine that lives over in Oklahoma that sometimes likes to use a jig with a wire hook guard on it, rather than the nylon guards that most of the jigs come out with now. What's your turnaround on that?
I've never used a wire guard. I mean, I'm sure in clear water applications it could make a difference sometime, but I always use nylon, and it always seems that either black or that green pumpkin looking color is the deal. You know, like I said, you can throw 20-pound line in clear water. I don't think when they see that brush guard, because 9 times out of 10, I think fish hit a jig from behind. It's not like they come over the top of it and look down on it. I see it coming at them. They see it go by, and then they hone in and come behind. That's why so many jig bites, they're just, you know, you hear it all the time. People say, he knocked 4 foot of slack in my life. Well, that's why. He's come up from behind it and hit it and kept coming to you. And that's why I don't really, a head color doesn't even matter to me. You know, I've had Brian Thrift, he's seen a jig of mine at Lake Hartwell one time that I'd retied from the day before. He said, man, you going to throw that jig? He said, he ain't got no paint left on the head. I said, it don't matter, they'll still bite it. I just don't think it matters that much.
Casey, when you fish a tournament, just like that jig you were talking about, and you've just, you know, slaughtered them on it, whether it's been 2, 3, 4 days, do you retire that jig, or do you still continue to use it?
I'm going to use it till it gets so little strands of jig material in it that it doesn't look right anymore, or the hook is just dull. I mean, I'm going to use it and use it.
You're getting your money's worth.
Hey, I'm telling you, there's an old man that I fished with. We catch stripers on bucktail, all that good stuff all running along. And he taught me, and I always thought he was crazy. But we had one bucktail and a bag full of them, you know, and you get one, and he would be catching them just right after another. And I'd be throwing one exact color, same size, everything, and wouldn't get a bite. He said, cut that one off and tie you on another one. Pull another one out of the bag, identical, same color, everything. And you start catching them. He said, man, some of them, they may look the same, but they just don't work. So if you got one that works, keep throwing it. Kind of like a jerk bait, kind of like a crankbait. But, man, Casey, we could sit here and talk to you all day. Say what now? We could sit here and talk to you all day, man, but we're running out of time, and we're going to have to get out of here, buddy. And we wish you the best of luck this year, you know, during Major League Fishing. We'll be watching you. Major League Fishing this Sunday on CBS. The World Championship is airing. You better tune in because it's going to be a nail biter. All right, buddy. Thanks, man. We'll be watching.
All right, folks.
Thank y'all for having me.
All right, folks. Until next week, I'm Don Barry, host of the Fishing Radio Show, saying keep fishing and keep catching.
Got it figured out.
Did it work?
Yeah.
Was it the cord?
I don't know if it was. I don't know. It was either that or having those other buttons on.
Yeah.
Because she